Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest Five-Star Joshi Q&A. This is number 3 so far. We've done a lot of them. So we've done a lot. Obviously, we've done ones on the show, but this is number 3 here in the bi-weekly release, and this will be the final bi-weekly one for a little bit. Obviously, only people only have so many questions, right? And I understand that. So it's a matter of let's take a little bit of break. We'll come back, maybe in a month or so, and we'll do this again. But it's been really fun. But more YouTube content will be coming your way as always. But let's do our usual here, right? If you want to follow me, all of what I'm doing, you can follow me at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter. That's where I am at all times. If you want to hear my Joshi thoughts, overall wrestling thoughts, because I watch pretty much everything. But yeah, definitely go there. Of course, it's down below. If you want to check out the podcast, which that's the best weekly content I have going here for Fight Game Media, that's on the Patreon, Fight Game Media Network Plus on the Patreon. You can check that out, the Five Star Joshi Show, up every single week. And the next 2 weeks are the best of the best. We got a triple whammy coming your way this week. We got a big time Stardom Flashing Champions coverage coming next week. A lot to enjoy, a lot to get ready for. And of course, please, please, please check out the Hana Kimura memorial show that I did with so many great human beings. It was really just, I couldn't thank them enough for giving me what they did. And that will also be up here on the YouTube on May 23rd. Of course, 2 years after her passing. It will be free here on YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. But let's get into the Q&A. I love doing the Q&A. I get so many fun questions that really make me think. And, I put this out there, I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I got some great questions. I got some really, really good questions. Some make me think a little bit, some don't. But let's get into it. Some don't, as in I just had it instantly when I read it because I just was ready with that answer. But let's get into it now. First question at a dumb millennial. Yes, my friend Xavi. Why is Saki Kashima the most consistently good worker in Stardom, and why should she be singles champion? Well, to start off, obviously, okay, most consistently good worker. I don't necessarily agree with that part, but I do want to say I think she's the best at what she does, right? Saki Kashima has a defined role, and she has for a very long time, especially since joining Oedo Tai. She is a spoiler in tournaments, which when she was announced for the 5-star this year, I got so excited because she should be in there. She deserves to be in there, especially for what she brings in every single match, especially for the favorites. She makes Toru Yano look bad. Toru Yano's not as good as a wrestler as Saki Kashima either. But continuing, uh, she is consistently great at what she's assigned on the roster to do. So if that's where we're going here, yeah. Why is she? Because she gets it. She's been around for a long time. She helps a lot of people get better and better and better. So I think that really answers the question for me as to why she's, so consistent in her job. But why should she be singles champion? Well, she's earned it, right? She's earned it. I mean, that's why she should be. She's not going to win the Wonder or World. She's not. And I was talking about this with some people previously. She's not going to win those. It's not going to happen. But she doesn't need to. Right? She has made it to this point where she doesn't need to win one. However, I will say if she got a high-speed title reign or a SWA world title reign, I think that'd be very deserving because she's done so much great work for Stardom over the years. She's, knock on wood, shooken off that injury bug that she was dealing with. She's just been a really consistently good worker. And for me, that's why I think she deserves a singles title. It will never be one of the top ones, but I think that's okay. I think that's okay for her because she's so good at what she does. And I'd like to see her get one. Even if it's not for that long time, she deserves that moment, kind of like how she cried for Mayu when Mayu had her Grand Slam moment. I'd like to see it go the other way. Next question. Daza loves the movie. He was on the Hana Kimura special as well. In terms of spectacle, production, entrances, etc., what is the most spectacular looking Joshi show you've ever seen? As in me. Uh this is interesting because a lot of the times when I go back in time, go into the archives of great wrestling shows, I don't really pay attention to production or anything, and not necessarily is anything jumping out of the it's nothing super noticeable in terms of that anyways. I go to watch the matches. But when it comes to spectacle productions, entrances, I will say for me, the first Joshi event I ever watched live, All Star Dream Cinderella, obviously for Stardom. I just felt from the moment that show started, it felt so important and so special. And you want to live up to that spectacle. That's kind of what it was, I think, for a lot of fans. It was kind of that spectacle. And the entrances were great. The production was great. Like when Tam and Julia walked down from the main event, it felt huge. I mean, you got the banners coming down. Obviously, one of my favorite parts of Stardom is they have the faction banners hanging down often. And it was just magical. It was a magical show. And a lot of that was because of great production and the way they do these things and how important it felt. And that was during clap crowds. Like, imagine what's going to happen when we get to cheering. It's going to be a different ball game, and I can't wait for that. But Stardom Dream, All Star Dream, Cinderella is my choice on that one. Alex, will any AEW wrestler represent the company in Stardom this calendar year? Uh, we went over this a little bit. Obviously, Dave Meltzer kind of reported that Stardom would like or would be interested in working with people. He backtracked on the idea of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, brought up the likes of Jamie Hayter. Uh, you know what? I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go bold. I'm gonna say no. Now watch, Mayu go over to America and lose the title immediately to like Jamie Hayter, like for example. That'd be pretty funny. Former SWA champion, I believe, off the top of my head. I think so. If it were to be anyone, I feel like it would be a Jamie Hayter, maybe. I just don't see. I don't see Britt. I don't see Britt. Uh, and I understand like the way people look at the AEW TJPW relationship is it's not much of a relationship, but I don't know. To me, I feel like that does matter a little bit. You don't want to overstep. People are like, well, what about New Japan and Noah and DDT? Come on, come on. DDT doesn't have that. DDT doesn't have that power or that closeness to a New Japan to say, "Hey, we'll stop working with you if you do that." No, 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 no. Konosuke Takeshita is getting seen, and that's what matters to them. I don't think it happens this calendar year. I could be wrong, obviously, because of the reports that have come out, but I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with no, which I admit could be a bold statement, but I guess we'll see. Alex again, who is a special guest in the Five-Star Grand Prix? The moment I read this, I thought it had to be Kyrie. Uh, I talk to people, oh, it could be, Western wrestler, say like someone from AEW. It could be a freelancer like Athena, Dakota Kai popped into my mind. Special guest can literally mean anything. And Kyrie, we still don't know where Kyrie is contractually. We just know she's back in Stardom, right? And she would feel like a special guest, obviously. She's as special as a guest can be. Unless, Io Shirai is walking through those doors, which not happening. So I think it's Kyrie. I really do. But an outsider obviously is in play. We already have Suzu Suzuki and Risa Sera announced. So I don't know how many outsiders they want in, nor do I know what outsider would come in to really shake that up. Because obviously Takumi Iroha is not doing it as AAA AEW champion. Uh Haruka Umasaki. I'm just thinking of new blood people now. Tomoka Inaba. Like, I don't think they fit the special guest prominence per se. There's always freelancer possibilities, maybe. But I'm going with Kyrie. I'm going with Kyrie. That's been my gut since the start. So we'll go with Kyrie here once again. At Widescreen Joshi, shout out. What are some of the biggest and best matches you can make on the independent Joshi scene right now? I think it's interesting. When I read this question originally, I said this question immediately starts with Arisa Nakajima. And I'll tell you why. A lot of the indie Joshi scene doesn't have titles that jump out to you or make a match more important, right? Ice Ribbon, it's not the same. They don't even have a champion right now. Marvelous, love Takumi, but I think Arisa right now, what she's doing this year is just on the higher level for now, though I'm about to come back to Takumi on one. But instantly out of my thought, Seedling obviously is working with a lot of freelancers. Arisa Nakajima's top of her game right now, top of her game. So I think who would be the biggest best match possible for her? I've been saying this for a while, and obviously this is some bias, but I think Arisa Nakajima versus Miyuki Takase for the Beyond the Sea title is one of the best matches you can make right now on the independent scenes. Arisa Nakajima versus Asuka Veni instantly, like that's something I've been asking for since the moment Nakajima won the title. And then you kind of break away from there. Uh, both of those opponents for Takumi Iroha fit as well as major matches. Um, and then I start looking tag team wrestling. Team 200 kilograms, obviously Chihiro Hashimoto and you versus the team of Luminous, Miyuki Takase, and Haruka Umasaki. I think that would be an interesting one. I understand I keep saying Miyuki Takase, whatever. Asuka and Makoto. I think that would be a big one. Obviously, the Beyond the Sea tag champs versus the Sendai Girls tag champs would be big in itself. But those are all the ones that I came up with for now. If Mio Momono was around, I would have tossed her name out there. Mayukihi versus any of these people, right? Like if she went to, she's not going to, but if she went to Marvelous to face Takumi Iroha, woo hoo hoo, that could be a great match. So those are the ones I came up with for that. Sandre, my guy, who would you add to the high speed division to spice it up? This is kind of a question I had last time. However, I did think of some ones here. Let me get them up for us here. I did think of some because instantly when I read this was okay. So we talking Stardom, but he specifically said outside of the company, which okay. So you look outside the company, who fits the high speed bill to face, say, Azumi or Tekla, whoever wins? Haruka Umasaki, I said last time, I think she'd fit there. Um, Momoka Hanazono, she the bubble girl from New Blood 2. I know a lot of people, she was either loved or disliked. I think she's super talented. I think she could do high speed very well. Um, those were the top two that popped in my head. But Someone like I think a Eureka Oka could fit there. She, the way she wrestles is very fast paced, obviously. So she could fit that high speed. Madeline, I think, could do it. Those are the top names. Cannon, even. I think she could do it. Absolutely. I mean, I know she's still a rookie, but I think she could definitely fit in there as well. So those are a couple potential challenges. Kohaku would be awesome, but that's not going to happen. Mio Momino obviously would be awesome, but she's not back. Maria would be really cool. I think she could easily do it. And yeah, those are the couple. Meio Suzuki if she ever came back, but who knows? But those are all the ones that have popped into my brain. So thank you for the question. Next question, Zavon Lamora. Imagine Stardom were to visit the United States this year, whether California or New York was named. It's a strong card with the red belt being defended. How do they do? Do they sell out any venues? It's an interesting question because what venue are they running? Which location? Because if they go to New York, I think they actually would have a better shot of selling out. As crazy as that sounds, I think New York's more of a location that a good amount of people will travel to. California, obviously, great location weather wise and everything, but I do think it would be New York, and they've done New York before, and I think if you put them in a good sized venue, uh say we're going 2,000 or so. I think they could. Obviously, it's asking a lot to get a lot of people there for one location when Stardom fans would they sell it 2,000? No. But I think they would do a really good crowd. I really do. Especially with a title match. But I don't know they could do it this year. I think you got to build a little more and then push that because I think they're so focused on Japan right now, which is correct. You want to keep making more fans in Japan, and that'll get you further. But it's a great question because it does make me think. What would be? I think they could go for 1,000. You know, I think they could get 1,000 here in the states. Wrestling's wrestling, right? Like thousands asking a lot, but they're better than any indie company, and I think enough people know them that have seen New Japan when they've appeared in Wrestle Kingdom and whatnot. I don't know. I have decent hopes for them, but obviously there takes some time. What kind of venue do they fill? You say like, do they sell out any venues? I don't know any venues off the top of my head. I think they can sell out a venue. It just depends how big of a venue they were to do. Stefan Lamore, another question. Any predictions for what TJPW will get out of this partnership with AEW? Does it close the gap with Stardom? I'll answer the second question. No. I don't know what TJPW could get from AEW's woman division that would close the gap with Stardom. I just don't. It's not gonna happen. It's asking too much from AEW, who has yet to share much except for Hikaru Shida twice and Riho once for a tag match. Now those are what I see from this partnership is if they do more talent sharing with the you know with restrictions easing up, obviously. I think that's possible. It's just, we sit here and we think about it. What could get TJPW to feel like this was worth it? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, they've gotten Sheeta, they've gotten Riho. Britt Baker's not going to bring a million fans into an arena on a TJPW show. So it's like, oh, what will they get out of it? I don't know. Some more eyes, maybe, probably not, but maybe. I mean, you'd have to present those women. So say Miyu Yamashita was to finally walk in there. You have to show her like a stud because We just saw it. Maki Ito lost in what, 5 minutes to Britt Baker? Listen, Maki Ito is a superstar. People love her worldwide. But when you're making casual AEW fans or AEW fans overall who may not watch Joshi, when you show she kind of looks like a geek and loses in seconds, it's like, eh. And when I say geek, I mean that very respectfully because I love Maki Ito and I think she's awesome and I think she's a superstar. But when you're having her lose in 5 minutes, it's like she did the most she could in such a spot, right? You got to make these people win. You got to make them look dominant. Every time we get a TJPW wrestler on TV, they lose. Yuka Sakazaki has a great match with Riho, but she lost. Maki Ito has a great match. No, wasn't a great match, but has a good showing. She still loses. Winning on dark isn't going to do much. So they got to get wins, and they got to get wins on TV if they want to help TJPW in any way, which I just don't see. At Some Deviant, if you can make a blockbuster 6-woman trade between Stardom and TJPW, what would your deal be? Oh boy, it's a funny question. He specifically said I can't trade my Sakurai for Miyu Yamashita. I tried mentally, but I'm gonna think of this smart. Yeah, you got to make a blockbuster trade. Okay, Tam Nakano. We'll do Tam. Unagi and I almost said Mariah back. That would be funny. No, because they treated her terribly, so we're not going to do that. And I love Mariah. I don't want to trade her. Tam Unagi and the roster's so full, and I don't want to trade any of them. It's really tough. It's really tough. You're putting me in a bind here. Let's give them another top talent. Let's give them Hameka. Okay. We'll do Hameka, Unagi, and Tam. Victor, I already know you love these three. That's not on purpose. And we'll trade them for Miyu Yamashita, shout out, Suzume, and Arisu Endo. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair trade. It's blockbuster because you trade Miyu Yamashita for Tam Nakano. Big switch there, but I think Tam would be great over there. And I think Miyu Yamashita obviously would be great at Stardom. And then Unagi and Hameka for Suzu and Endo makes up, I think, the difference because Tam Nakano is towards the end of her career. She said that. She's notably said that. And they get kind of a bolster there. You get a little greatness, and I think Stardom gets 2 building blocks for their future because I think Endo would be a great high speed wrestler, and I think Suzume is really good. Might be one sided, but Stardom has a much more one-sided roster than TJPW. I wasn't trying to take all the pillars or anything, but I think that would be a good trade. I think that'd be an interesting trade. Let me know what you think. XX Ichiban Dylan, what's up? What is the next step for Queen's Quest? Feels like they're at the top of their game, but can't seem to put things together and progress forward. He said, do you feel similarly? Because this is how he was feeling. Do I feel similarly? Similar. I'm not going to try to say it again. Yes, I do feel similar in the sense that they aren't getting anything going yet. Saya Kamatani is being one of the best wrestlers in the world. Utami Hayashishita as well. Utami Hayashishita. Azumi's kicking ass every time she's out there. Miyu Amasaki has a lot of steam behind her. And then there's Hina and Lady C, but it's all about those top 3, obviously. What is the next step? You got the leader now in Utami. I think that was a very important step. You get the leader. And now I think you just go for dominance with those 3. Say Azumi loses the high speed belt at Flashing Champions. I think you make Utami and Azumi chase tag gold. I think you have Saya continue to be a great champion, but they need a feud. They need a legitimate feud, and it doesn't need to be Oedo Tai. Obviously, the story there with Momo, but I think they need a feud, and I think a feud like them and Julia and pick two would be a really good feud because Julia versus Tommy is such a they're not going to do this obviously, but they need a feud with a group that lasts and that I think it's funny. We say what is the next step for Queen's Quest? It's really what's the next step for Utami. Because now the group runs through her. It has been that way for a while. And with Utami doing nothing, the whole group feels like they're doing nothing despite being at the top of their game. So I think it's whatever Utami does. Utami's facing Kyrie and Tam at this next show. Maybe that's what lights the spark. I think the leader match lit a spark. That needs to light the next spark. And where do they go? What's that next step? It's something for Utami to dig into. That's the next step. Because without her being at the top of her game, it feels like the group itself isn't necessarily winning all the time or having great success. You got to give her a story. You got to give Utami a story. That's how Queen's Quest drives forward. Because Azumi and Sai have been great this year. But them as a group, not so much. And I think you need Utami to push forward. So that's what I would do is give Utami something to dig her teeth into and really drive forward with it. All right, 2 questions left. Ryan Dilbert, has Pro Wrestling Wave or Sendai Girls been better this year? I love both. But I can't disrespect Sendai Girls. That is my faction, right? That's my faction. My promotion. It's obviously Stardom, but Sendai Girls has been one of my favorite promotions all year. They put free shows up, free matches up on their YouTube page. It takes a little while, but they do that. And almost every show, you get a really good match to a great match. At least every show. Or you get a couple of them. And it just feels like they're always trying. And I'm not saying Pro Wrestling Wave doesn't. Pro Wrestling Wave, we're in the middle of Catch the Wave tournaments. This is their time to take it up a notch and take over for Sendai Girls in my eyes. And I think they're getting there, but some matches haven't hit like that. But yeah, Sendai Girls just has something about them that I love so much. They're a small roster, it's like 6 or 7, but the top of their roster is as good as any on the independent scene. And they bring in the best of the best for freelancers. They bring in Asuka. They bring in Ryu Mizunami. They bring in Miyuki Takase. They bring in Umasaki is not a freelancer, but they bring in other people from other companies that you want to see. So for me, it's Sendai Girls all the way. All the way. Final question. I left this for last specifically. Abid, my guy, what are your top 5 matches within the world of Joshi wrestling? All right. So I thought, how was I going to do this? Because obviously, big Stardom guy here. I love Stardom. So I'm going to give one Stardom match just on the side, the top Stardom match for me. And then I'm going to give 5 throughout the rest of the Joshi scene because I want to really highlight as much Joshi as I can here. So, number 1 for women's for Stardom would be Starlight Kid versus Azumi high speed title match. That match is sticking with me. It's sticking with me to this day, and I've rewatched it. It holds up. It's one of those matches that, oh hey, I want to get into Joshi. What should I watch? Bam! This is what you should watch. That's where that's at for me. The other one would have been Julia versus Mayu from earlier this year, or a Saya Kamatani defense. One of the last couple, not the Unagi one or the Utami one. But let's talk about top 5 Joshi matches outside of Stardom. Let's kick Stardom to the curb here for a second. And not that I purposely want to. Again, I love Stardom, but I want to highlight as much as I can because that's what I love about this show. This won't be in order. This is just the top 5 so far this year from around the Joshiverse, okay? Mizuki challenging Miyu Yamashita for the Princess of Princess Championship. That was at the Korakuen Hall show on January 4th. I just thought that was tremendous. Tremendous. People love the Shoko match. That's fine. Great. It's awesome. I agree. It's great. But I thought this match was better. It was as good as you can get because Mizuki really had a shot to win. And I thought if Maki Ito's not beating Yamashita, it's got to be Mizuki. Silly me trying to, understand where we're going here with TJPW. But I thought that match was great. It was great. It had the drama, had the excitement, had a live, fun, interesting crowd before Miyu Yamashita ultimately defended it. I think that would be on that top 5. Let's go through here. Let's continue. Uh, let's see. Let's see. I mean, Miyu Yamashita versus Shoko Nakajima is probably on there too. It's been that good. It was that good. It was that good at Grand Princess. You had the excitement around it. You had the obvious chance of a title change, and they just caught lightning in a bottle. Miyu Yamashita is one of the best in the world for a reason, and she steps up in these big matches, and she did here. So that's definitely one of them as well. All right, moving on. All right. Yeah, we got 3 more. Okay. Arisa Nakajima versus Tsukasa Fujimoto from Seedling. This is one of the best matches of the year, period. Doesn't matter. The style, the genre, men's, women's, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's one of the best matches of the year, period. This would probably be number 1 on this list. You bring the best friends of Joshi together. This wasn't even for the title. They had a rematch the day after, also great match. But there was just something here. They were physical with one another. Obviously, it's Arisa Nakajima, Sakashi Fujimoto. You had the excitement of, okay, well, Tsukasa's leaving, right? Tsukasa's leaving. And how are they going to go about this? Well, we learned they were going to give Tsukasa the win. Tsukasa got that win, the shock win, to get a title match the next day, and it was just great. You want if you like violence, if you like fast-paced action, if you like physicality, if you just like professional wrestling, you watch this match. You watch that match. The final 2 would be Arisa Nakajima again. I said at the beginning, we were talking about best Joshi matches on the independent scene. It starts with Arisa Nakajima. Arisa Nakajima versus Riko Kaiju. I thought that match was tremendous. Riko Kaiju, she's not a rookie, but she's at the rookie level against Arisa Nakajima. First title shot ever. And she not only delivered, but she was on the same standing as Arisa Nakajima. It was like the beginning of this long-term story for Kaiju to win that title, which she will. And she survived, and she survived, and she gave it back to Nakajima, and she gave it back again, and she survived and survived just before Nakajima said, okay, I gotta hit the Dragon Suplex. I gotta win this the way I beat everyone. Kaiju wasn't letting her beat her easy. They've had matches before. It's different this time. And she showed she belonged. She showed she could beat her. She didn't this time, but a fantastic match. And the last one, the main event of Nomad's Freelance Summit, Miyuki Takase and Ryo Mizunami defeating Rina Yamashita and Mayu Kihi. Hell of a debut. Hell of a debut main event. Just physicality at its finest. Great tag team wrestling. Ryo Mizunami surviving an onslaught by the opponents to win, to pin Mayukihi in the middle of the ring. It was great. It was great. I really enjoyed that match. I think everyone should check that out. One, because I think Nomads is going to be special, but two, because I thought it was so great. So those are the 5 matches I think really are in my head at right now in terms of the Joshi non-stardom scene. So 2 TJPW, 2 Nakajima matches, and of course that tag team main event. Definitely worth going out of your way. But that's it. That's it here for the 5-star Joshi Q&A. I love doing these. I really, really, really do. It's going to be a while till the next one because I got some other plans and other projects we're going to go and try. But the next time we do it, I'll expect those. I'll expect those questions. It'll be a different landscape, I'm sure, but in a month, but it'll be exciting. But if you listen through all the way, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate all the support I've gotten through the year. We're almost at 1 year of this show. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. It, it's stunning to me actually. But thank you for listening. And I hope everyone has a great day. Make sure to check out this week's episode of the 5-star Joshi Show. Until next time, see you later.